Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Easton Prod. It's not. Okay, in reality, this is the True Project X hockey stick snapshot review. I just wanted to make the joke of how similar this graphic is to the Easton RS original RS stick because it is literally the same. It's so similar. But hey, it was a great graphic and Easton doesn't exist anymore, so who cares? Anyways, quick snapshot review of this. But before that, if you are making any hockey purchases and you live in the United States, including this stick, check out the link in the description to Pure Hockey. Clicking that link, make a purchase gives me a kickback, so I keep doing reviews. And hopefully one day, buy sticks like this to actually do full long-term reviews and actual durability stuff like that, and not just snapshot reviews. If you want to support the channel any other way, you can check out the link in the description to Patreon, buy me a coffee. Everything that goes through there comes right back into this channel. Full disclosure, right off the bat, I can't shoot this stick. I'll cover why a little bit later on, but the gist of it is also I didn't buy this stick, borrowed it from a local store. The store doesn't allow customers to try the stick out because it's one of the limited edition $400 Canadian ones. So with that said, I'm not shooting it because if they don't allow potential buyers to shoot it, I'm not going to shoot it myself. I'm not risking breaking this stick and anything like that because I'm not spending the money on it. Now, with that said, there is going to be a lot of reviewers out there who are shooting it, saying it's amazing and everything like that. I obviously, unfortunately, can't comment on that. Those people are, for the most part, are sent the stick and are part of True's like marketing stuff. They're their social media influencers. I am not. So remember that. I just grabbed this because I wanted to talk about it, and I think it's important just not have influencers talk about stuff like this. Now, I think people worry too much about stick weights. I have all these sticks here because they're basically most of the latest ones I've reviewed and I've liked or stuff like that. And the weights are all kind of comparable to this. So with weights, I think people are chasing like the lowest number possible too much and kind of sacrificing balance. I mentioned that on the Trigger 5 Pro stick. I obviously can't use this on ice, so it's really hard for me to judge actually how the balance is because I found with the trigger, holding your hand, it felt super light, but when I went to the ice, that's when it made a real big difference with my playing. With this, obviously I can't judge that. It does feel to me like it's better balanced just holding in my hands. It does feel crazy light in my hands, but the CCM felt amazing too until I brought it on the ice and I was pretty disappointed with it. So unfortunately I can't comment about that. But with this stick, True advertised it at 355 grams. Now, I didn't get that. Also, most companies end up weighing their sticks with the P88 blade because it's a smaller blade than the 92. This one is the TC2. It's the Marner curve, so it's basically the toe curve of everyone else, but it's not the crazy toe curve, so it's the P29 92. And I do that because it's comparable to all the other sticks that I've been using. Now with this stick, I weighed it in at 374 grams, which is not 355 grams. It's not close to 355 grams. That's not a tolerance of difference. Now I took out the end plug just to see, and I ended up getting 368 grams. Now when I weigh all these sticks, all the weights that are on the screen are my weights. They're from my scale. So that if someone says my scale's wrong, that means all of these stick scales are wrong because they all came from the same scale. With that said, I never take out the end plugs of any of the sticks I review. I leave it exactly how it is on the store. I'll take off the big stickers on the blade. I'll take off the sticker on that CCM puts on the front of the shaft. But besides that, I leave them the way they are. And this stick came in at 374 grams, which is not the 355 grams that True advertises everywhere. So I want to point that out right away. I do not think the P88 should be that big of a difference either. So I'm kind of surprised at that. The other thing I want to call out is the length of this stick because it is a 60-inch length stick. So same as Bauer, same as SCX Halo. Shorter than the Pro Stock hockey sticks I have here. Shorter than the CCM sticks. And again, this picture kind of shows that off. So I want to talk about some things with that first because this stick is advertised as their lightest stick they've ever used. And they're using a new carbon fiber that they can make it lighter and all that. Now this stick is one of those limited edition releases that cost more money. So it's $400 US. I want to compare it and just call this comparison out right now compared to the competition because at 355, it seems like, okay, that's worth it. And that is really the lightest stick on the market and has been on the market so far. At 374, it's not. And I really am curious how that $400 price tag comes out when a stick weighs this much. As a comparison, Trigger 5 Pro at the full length compared to the True. And again, I'll show the height difference there. The Trigger 5 Pro was 370 grams, which is 4 grams less than this Project X's. The other thing I want to call out is this The Pro Hockey Sticks red line, you cut that one down too because it is a bit taller and it's still going to be there, and that's $159 US, so about $200 Canadian. Same with the STX Halo, it's $380, it's basically right there, but that is the same weight, just that one's a better value, obviously, prop. So this stick is also heavier than the Nexus ADV and the Supreme ADV, which both came out last year. So it's not really pushing the boundaries there. It says, their marketing says there is, but obviously that's not the case with this stick. Maybe this stick is defective and I only grabbed one from the store because that's kind of all I ever do. I don't grab more than one. That's what it is, and I want to call those weights out there just because that's basically all they're really talking about with this stick is how light it is. Now, in an Instagram live video with one of their lead engineers, they mentioned a different carbon weave and how they basically redid the layup down here to make it a quicker release and a harder shooting stick compared to the AX9. I was a fan of the AX9, thought it was pretty good. Didn't think it was game breaking or anything like that, but it was a solid stick and a huge improvement from the previous ones. This is supposedly an improvement on the AX9. I can't shoot it, so I can't talk about that, unfortunately. But the weight is, while it is an improvement, it isn't game breaking. When that's like one of the main thing you're selling for, I'm kind of curious about that. Now, this stick only comes in really 3 curves, the 88, the 29, or the 92, and the 28, which is a big toe kink. For True, it's the TC2, TC4, and MC. The one thing I want to give True credit for is on that Instagram live video, and they're probably not happy I'm pulling this out and mentioning it, but I'm going to anyways. They mentioned check out the pro stock versions of these sticks in order to get the curves and the flexes that you might not be able to get otherwise. So someone mentioned 95 flex, and they're not doing that at retail because doesn't really make a ton of sense at retail. But he did mention go with pro stock route, and you can find them in different flexes and curves if the retail one doesn't have your option. The reason I'm saying that's impressive is because really no other company admits that pro stock exists, especially for sticks. Bauer, CCM, Warrior won't be like, oh yeah, go check out our pro stock offerings and not our full retail price offerings. It's kind of cool that True is admitting that, and I want to give them props to that because it is a market and it is a thing. I wish that the companies made it more easier to get those types of sticks, but that's another whole conversation. The other thing I want to mention is, and give them props for, is the engineer also said the lighter the stick, the less durable it is. A lot of times, like CCM and Bauer will say, oh, we have this new super light stick. It's just as durable as before, but it's super light. Less material is going to make it less durable. I'm happy that they are. They're not just giving you smoke and mirrors and saying, this is just as durable as our last stick. So that's a props to them there. They admit that this is all performance, and the durability on this won't be as good as one of the heavier and more traditional retail sticks. Now, going on to the stick itself, the balance I kind of mentioned before, it felt really good. It feels solid. It doesn't feel like they really took all the weight out of the blade, so it's not like shaft heavy like I think the Trigger 5 Pro was. So it does feel pretty decent, but without me getting this on the ice, without me stick handling stuff like that, I can't really talk about it. So yeah, I want to give True huge props for the graphics. I think they look amazing. This is not super flashy and overstated and crazy or anything like that, just nice blue accents. Yes, it does just look like an Easton RS. That was a great looking graphic. You know exactly what this is when people are using it in the NHL. True is offering a bunch of different colors. I think Thomas Tatar has like an orange one. So different NHL players are using different colors versions of this, and they all look good and it looks really cool. I love the use of the black outlines here basically. So the actual project part is the clear through carbon fiber. That looks really awesome as well. So I want to give True props for that just because I think they're doing a pretty awesome job here, and they were really boring in the past and they're kind of moving away from that. I do love these little X's up here too. It's always just a cool little textured detail. Now, the grip on this stick is super thin. You can feel all the textured graphics through them, especially like right here where there's a Project X. You can feel that all through your fingers, like the bumps and because the grip material spray is pretty minimal, as well as over on the top and the True wording right here. But you can feel all these little X's when you run your hands along them. And the thing that is also kind of interesting about that too is when I did this test with my gloves, you can also feel all that little texture on when you're wearing gloves. I have pretty thin palms on the STX limited edition ones, which are just a single layer, but you can feel all that, and that is pretty cool. I'm a huge fan of textured grips. Tons of pros use textured grips. This isn't quite a textured grip, but you can make that feeling, and it's almost a decent compromise. The grip is also pretty consistent all the way through. I found CCMs recently to be kind of like grippier in some spots and less grippy than others. This one is pretty solid all the way through and feels pretty good. It's no pro stock hockey sticks. It's still like the best grip stick I've used in a while, but it's good. The one thing that this stick feels pretty interesting about is when you put your hand around it, it feels like it's a kind of intermediate stick, and this is a senior, this is an 85 flex. The rounded corners on it definitely make it feel like it fits in your hand like really easy, and it doesn't feel as big as it is. I took a tape measure and measure the diameter of this stick, and it's the same as all the other sticks on this table within like a few millimeters. So it's all close to each other, and it's not actually like a smaller stick. The blade, they said, is similar to the AX9, and it does feel pretty pingy. I can't stick handle with this and shoot with it, and I'll show you why in a second, but it does feel kind of pingier. It doesn't feel quite as pingy as an FT3 Pro is or an AS3 Pro, but it's pingy like the last AX9 was, which is just a change from True because they used to be softer blades. I love the X that's in the blade. It's a very minor thing, but that does look really awesome. They did AX9 in the past for the AX9 one. Now they have the X kind of inlaid in there. I think that looks really cool and really awesome. Obviously, you won't really see it if you tape it up, but it's a cool thing when you're looking at the stick itself. Now, I mentioned how I'm not buying this stick, so I can't test it out really. The other reason why is because, now this is really hard to get on camera, but you can see all these lines right here. So this isn't like added reinforcement or anything. This is just the graphic that goes all the way down here. But then you can see this like white part under here. So that is not a graphic. That's not part of the graphic. What it looks like to me is that the carbon didn't fully like wrap all the way over here. Now, when I put pressure on it, I can't feel it moving or anything like that. It still feels pretty solid, but it's really hard to get off camera, but you can definitely see it in person that it looks like there's a missing carbon weave kind of through there. And that is pretty close to where the joint of where the blade and the shaft kind of come together in the building process. And you can kind of see how you can't really see the weave all around it, kind of right around here, just because I don't know if they do a cover or anything there, but you can't really see that join as much. So I wanted to call that out, and I don't know if this is like a manufacturer defect or what, but what that looks like, the foam core of the blade itself, you can always kind of see like the bladed ribs through this right here, and True has that. It's called their BRT technology. They have that on a bunch of their sticks. You can see it right there and right there, and it goes along the stick like that. So you can kind of see sometimes like the inner makings of it. But if you take a look at this stick, which is a broken Bauer stick, you can see like that foam core for dampening right here. And that does look very similar to what that material is right there. So that's another reason why I said maybe this stick is just defective, and that's why the weight is kind of off on it, is because of that. And it also does go up into the shaft, so you can see it right there too. So it does come up, basically up around here too. So that is about the same spot of where you would see that piece right there. So to me, that definitely seems like that could be a missed carbon part, and that isn't wrapped correctly all the way through. This is really hard to get on camera. It's not just my lighting. It's also just doesn't look like a bubble or anything like that. Maybe this is totally wrong. Maybe this stick will be totally fine. Obviously, I can't shoot it and test it, and that's disappointing, but I wanted to call that out because it's something I noticed. And if I was buying a $400 stick, I'd be really worried about that point. So I want to make it obvious and call it out. So unfortunately, with me not being able to really shoot this stick or take it on ice or anything, this video, I can't really make a real review and say how great this stick is or how good this stick is or if it shoots better than the AX9. I wish I could. To me, I can't justify spending $400 on this stick. I have a ton of sticks already if it wasn't really obvious. And something like this, it's just not worth it to me. And I don't even have the ADVs, and I think the ADVs are really interesting because they really push the boundaries on tech. This is a light stick, but tech-wise, it doesn't really do anything besides having that lighter weight. True does go into a ton of information on that Instagram live video that I suggest people check out, where they talk about like basically the carbon layers and how they use a different carbon fiber makeup that got this to be lighter. So I think that's pretty interesting, and you should check it out if you want to. But without actually being able to test it, I can't really talk about if it's actually any better or not. I will in the future look out for a pro stock stick of this if I can. And if it's under like 200 bucks Canadian, I'll probably buy one just to test it out and see how it is. But for this, unfortunately, that's all I can kind of really do on this. That's disappointing to me because I know the True marketing guys and the influencers, you'll see a bunch of them out there that will be using this stick. They'll have their name on it, or they've already been using this stick and their new gloves and stuff like that. We'll be talking about how great this is. I wish I could either back it up or counter it with actual use, but I can't because I can't justify spending money on this. And I can't justify possibly breaking it and then not really using it afterwards. When True came out with this stick and when they started advertising, it was all about how light it is and how amazing it is. I don't have that lightness on this stick, as evident by my scale, and translates to all the other sticks I have too. So it's not just my scales being faulty. Again, maybe this stick is defective, like I showed that issue there. Maybe it's too heavy because of something in it. That weight doesn't really translate to what is marketed, so that's pretty disappointing for me. I have nothing against True. I'm never out to get a company. I just try to be as honest as possible. I've been very critical of True's products in the past, their gloves, their goalie sticks, and their old protective gear, but they have been making huge strides recently, especially with their new gloves and the new protective. And I call that out when companies make the big differences. I'm not here to bash this, and I'm not here to be a contrarian. I'm not here to try to be different to get views or anything like that. I'm just saying what I see, and I have no ties to True at all, and I have nothing against True at all. I just want to call out the weight of what this is and the only part of this I can actually take a look at. So that's about it for this video. Sorry I can't use it. Sorry I can't give a real snapshot review with shooting and stuff like that, but unfortunately that's kind of just how it is with these limited edition sticks. Hopefully this was helpful and at least interesting. And if this was helpful, or if you want to see me actually review this, message True on social media and let them know you want to see me review it. I'll give you an honest opinion, as you can tell, and I would love to try this thing out, but I just can't justify the price on this limited edition stick. So thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, links are in the description. If you want to support me and live in the United States, please check out the link to Pure Hockey. If you want to buy a stick, check out that link, make a purchase, gives me a kickback, helps support channel. So hopefully in the future, I can just buy all these all the time, use them up, and actually give a real review on it. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out the links to Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon. Everything goes through all those links will come right back into the channel so I keep making videos and make more content. Because like I said, I'm not an influencer, and to me actually use this, I have to pay for it, and I can't justify $400 on this specifically because that would be just way too much money on a stick. So yeah, thank you very much for watching and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.